we did have some slightly good news in terms of the entirety of Steve Bannon's life coming or crumbling down around him as he's been sentenced to prison. He finally made his way to jail. Do you remember what prison he got sentenced
I
to?
don't even really know how
It's
he
like
would look
Danbury.
like clean.
You don't know what he would look like clean because he's looked so dirty and dusty the last.
He's
4
a
years.
walking herpes. Like he's like that fruitcake, like the fucking gift you don't want but keeps on giving. But yeah, like
he's in Denver.
how would he
Danbury.
he was like, what was it? Pigpen. That's it. Pigpen from fucking Charlie Brown.
But Pigpen had endearing qualities.
Oh man,
That's Steve Bannon. He is Pigpen. And he is going to be forced to wash. Forced to wash.
yeah. So he's got a lot of complaints about having been sentenced to jail, and especially about the timing. But largely, the timing is his fault. Peter Navarro basically served his sentence already. The reason why Bannon is being sentenced at this point is because he spent so much time engaged in the appeals process, and now at the home stretch of the 2024 election, he's going to be in jail. He won't be out until like the first day or first couple of days of November. It's actually a win for look, the legal system didn't hold in numerous ways. The rule of law, it's a fucking disaster, but we do occasionally get some small victories here. And I don't want to seem like I'm constantly down on like the way things are going, because I do assume in terms of votes in the electoral college vote, Biden's going to win the election. It's just going to be tough, but we got to enjoy our little small victory. I've been waiting on Steve Bannon to go to prison since 2016, right? He was.
That is true. That is true. If anybody deserves prison time, it's that motherfucker. And even though it's only 4 months, I will take it.
And to be fair, all he really had to do was go sit in front of the January 6th committee and invoke his Fifth Amendment
and plead
privilege.
the Fifth.
That's all he had
like
to do.
He could have pleaded. He could have pled the Fifth.
This was Bannon playing stupid games and getting stupid prizes.
Yep.
But he deserves it, and I just wish, I just wish the justice system worked as well for all of Trump's co-conspirators as it did for Bannon in this one case. But obviously, it requires them to be extraordinarily stupid to just not show up and invoke your Fifth Amendment privilege.
Well, I think King Biden should do an executive order to throw out the 147 members of Congress.
I don't think that's how executive orders work, Ty, but you just froze
voted
there.
Against certifying the election.
Well, you just froze there. So you
wishful thinking, but that would be nice.
You froze there. You have to do that one more time.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, yes. You think.
But yeah, but okay.
Wishful executive thinking, but order. That would, no, I'm
before that.
Okay, start over.
Executive order to throw out all of the insurrectionists who voted against certifying the election. Fair is fair. Fuck you.
I mean, technically, he could have the Justice Department arrest him right now. Obviously, the court could order them to be released, and Biden's response could be.
My faith in Merrick Garland is shook right now. So,
well, what specifically is it that you would like Merrick Garland to do? Because I think if you just look at the actions that the Supreme Court's taken, it's clear that no matter what Merrick Garland or Jack Smith were going to do in terms of prosecuting Trump, the Supreme Court was going to get involved and make sure they protected him.
You know what? I don't give a fuck. Flood the goddamn zone. And number two, if he had done this immediately after he was appointed, we would be even here.
Had done what exactly? Can you be specific?
Gone after Trump the minute that he knew about the classified documents case, going after those in Congress who voted against certifying the election, and all of their prosecutions.
Well, I'm pretty
cutting the head off of the stake. The
So
snake. Okay,
well, here's
I
the
see we're
thing.
about
First
to
of all,
disagree, D.
no, well, okay. So the week that Merrick Garland was appointed, he had an investigation open directly into Trump. He put a group together and had them investigate the top of the coup immediately. So like despite what you think about Merrick Garland, he got on the job immediately. Like you can go look at the New York Times article. We'll post that in a link somewhere. Got on the job, had that going, handpicked guys. And then once he got his people, and again, this took months, right, to get his deputy appointed because the co-conspirators in the Senate refused to confirm him. That's why he didn't get the job until March. They refused to confirm his deputy. They refused to confirm the DC AUSA until like later in the fall. It took him a while to get the whole team there to do the
Okay,
work.
now you're just talking sense. I'm talking nonsense.
Yeah, I'm just
what?
I'm just but here's the thing, right? So also if you look at the evidence that was collected in the investigation, he would have had that on day one. Like the charges wouldn't have stuck if he tried to pull the trigger too early. And that's another issue. Like
making fucking sense.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate. Like investigations require evidence in order to get a conviction, especially in an instance where the trial, if it goes to trial, and even upon conviction, after the conviction is going to get appealed to high heaven, it's going to be the most scrutinized investigation / criminal trial in the history of criminal trials. And that's why you got to line up all your P's and Q's, and that's what he was doing. But it's also readily apparent that no matter what he did, and I know, and a lot of people talk about, hey, why did Merrick Garland indict Trump for obstruction of justice? Well, Bill Barr did a lot to make sure those charges went away with that OLC opinion that he drew up that basically says you can't have an indictment for obstruction without charging for an underlying crime, which there was a way to finagle out of that. But more importantly, no matter what, again, based on this Supreme Court ruling, you can't charge a president for obstruction of justice for what Trump was doing in terms of, lying about or lying to investigators and trying to fire, DOJ appointed. It just, he has immunity from that. So those charges wouldn't have stuck and the Supreme Court would have just bailed him out anyway. And that gets back to the real problem here. No matter what we do, the Supreme Court is just going to put their finger on the scale. And this idea, and this goes back to this idea that everyone's suggesting that Biden drop out of the 2024 election. Okay, great. The Supreme Court is just going to rule that you can't put another Democrat on the ballot. And you're like, all right, I guess we'll be writing in Kamala Harris. Yeah, 80 million people ain't going to spell Kamala's name right. I'm sorry.
That is true. But the thing is, like, when I had some troll in my mentions, they're like, oh, he just needs to drop out. It was like, okay, and who should step into his place? I said, you keep saying, it's like, you guys keep pushing that he needs to drop out, but you're not saying who should step in. And it's very curious that you never say he needs, not in that argument that you're making is Biden should step aside and let Kamala take hold. Like, that's not, it's just, he should step aside. He should step aside. Why do you never mention Madam Veep's name?
Because they just want us to lose.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
they're racist and misogynist.
Well, that's their,
so there's that.
Their kind of way of skipping over the black woman as well.
Exactly. And they're like, oh, Newsom, Buttigieg. I was like, Newsom has been unequivocally vocal about he's not stepping over Biden. He supports his president. Pete Buttigieg, no, that's not a thing. Gretchen Whitmer, okay, yes, she's a rock star.
Okay,
she's
theoretically,
amazing,
if Biden did step down, all these people you naming, if they were to try and take over at the Democratic convention, they would have to start from scratch. They got no money, they got no infrastructure, no campaign staff, nothing.
They have no name ID.
No, and all the money that President Biden raised.
Because we're entrenched in politics.
Yeah,
but that fucking person in Alabama, that voter in Georgia, that voter in North Carolina and Virginia, Maryland, etc. They're like, who this?
Well, and most importantly, all that, the hundreds of millions of dollars that Biden's raised, that money can't go to them. So they'd be starting off a presidential campaign from scratch and broke. Also, Kamala Harris is the only candidate who could theoretically have that money transferred to her campaign, but she's not. Again, she's not going to make Biden step down, and Biden has refused to step down. And also this idea, like if you look at what the media is doing, conspiring to basically trying to end the Democratic Party, like if Biden stepped down, whatever candidate stepped in to take his place, the media would just do the same fucking shit to them. It's an endless cycle of the same shit. They did the same shit to Hillary Clinton. The same.
And they wouldn't have the same credibility built up that Joe already had. There's just no way, even if they say they don't like him.
And another thing that people don't talk about is, as ruthless as the Heritage Foundation and the right is with their Oppo research, do you not think that they have a list of, if Biden was to drop out, who are the potentials, and have already created dossiers on each of those people?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Period. They have already, like, okay, if he does,
they've got October surprises ready for every potential candidate. You guys ain't got to worry about that. The thing about Biden is, everything about Biden. He's been in the public spotlight for damn near 60 years. You know everything about him. There's nothing new under the sun. It is what it is. And that's why.
No, the best they have lined up is like, fucking Putin putting ships near Cuba. That's their backup plan, I assume. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but they're all involved in.
Most importantly,
this is, I guess, kind of reckless speculation, but nothing is far fetched anymore. Like,
no,
that is true, Carol. Nothing is far
most
fetched,
importantly,
and that is the saddest fucking part.
I mean, I think most importantly, if you get rid of Biden, you'd lose black people. I mean, obviously, unless Kamala Harris is the answer. That part. You lose black people, and you can't expect us to continue to bail out the Democratic Party at every turn and then not support our candidate in the most dire of circumstances. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, just stop listening to the fucking pundits again. I mean, I know we keep cycling back to this, but that's because the media continues to cycle back to it. Fuck the media.